Hello, my friends. Welcome to My Left Ear, video 172. It is Wednesday, September 6th, and I hope everybody had a really nice little holiday there. My Left Ear, if you're new, is a left-leaning political and psychic commentary YouTube channel. I do the runes, and I have some runes readings for you today. And the funny thing is, when I decided to call this My Left Ear, it was because when I get psychic information, it always comes from this side, my left side. And then after I chose that title, then I realized, oh, this is a left-leaning channel. So that came to me much from an intuitive place and less of a political place, and then it merged. So it was kind of interesting. When I am not here on YouTube doing a Patreon, weekly readings, weekly runes readings, and the political channel, which that's what we're doing right now, I do therapeutic hypnosis, and I've been doing it for over 20 years, and coaching, creative coaching, psychic coaching, and I do runes sessions for people. If you want information on connecting with me, it is below, and you can email me. You can even call me and leave me a message. So I call myself a change agent, and when people are available, which is part of the component, I'm very good at helping people make changes. If they're not really on board to make those changes, then my job is more difficult. But I bet you understand that. All right, so this is for entertainment purposes only. And if we're lucky, maybe Peter, you'll come in and get on the desk and say hello. He's been taking a nap in the closet. So beginning today, here we go. Today, September 6th, Donald Trump is having not a good Wednesday. Now, right now in DC or Florida, it's 3 hours later than where I am. It's 12:25 right now, so his day is advanced. But as of today, he has lost his second rape defamation case against E. Jean Carroll. She is the winner. There's nothing he can do about it. I think he maybe owes her $10 million, not sure. Trump did not get the extra time he wanted before his upcoming New York bank fraud trial with Trish James, which I think is like $250 million. It's a stunner. I do not think that Ivanka is a part of this, but I also don't think she's out of the woods from getting into some trouble herself. I think that is down the road a little bit. Also, when Trump took that very staged mugshot, which he practiced in the mirror doing, and he's made money on selling it, t-shirts and all kinds of things. Well, I think that's illegal, and people have been writing about a copyright infringement, and that is being checked on by Jack Smith. I believe it is Jack Smith that is checking on this copyright law, and Trump may have to pay back millions to people who paid for those t-shirts and signs and pictures and stuff like that of the mugshot. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Because he makes money on everything, but this is great that, it's kind of awful that I'm saying this is great that he violated copyright laws, right? Can't help it. Sorry. And now I do want you to know that, and this is gone, out there in the waves, that Jack Smith is now broadening, investigating into campaign fraud charges, because it appears that there are many violations by Trump on campaign fraud. Like he's announcing to his people the names of new, companies or funds to donate to, and some of them nobody can even find. So there's some big stuff going on there. Oh, you know what? I see that I wrote a paragraph here, but I didn't double space it, which makes it difficult for it to read while I'm talking to you. Okay, so this is about, especially the Washington, now we're going into something else. This is, what I'm going to talk about right now has to do with the presidential polls, not the primary polls, the presidential poll between Trump and Biden, because if Trump lives, physically lives through next year, he'll be running for president. It's bizarre, I know, but that's our reality right now. So polls came out, I think, with the Washington Post, where it suggested that Biden and Trump are neck and neck for the presidential position. Not the nomination, the actual position. So the Atlantic, which is political magazine, I'm just going to read to you a few things from the Atlantic, and I kind of compacted it a little bit. The notion that 45's indictments have benefited Mr. Trump politically is a dispiriting and even dangerous idea, one that could embolden future politicians of any ideological stripe to disregard the law. Sets a precedent. But a new, broader survey of Republican voters, per the Atlantic, suggests that the indictments have, in fact, dented Trump's advantage in the primary. The study was designed by a group of university researchers from Temple University who argue that pollsters have been asking the wrong questions. I've never been polled. Have you ever been polled? I've never been polled. I don't even know anybody that's ever been called. The study was designed by a group of these researchers who argue that pollsters have been asking the wrong questions. Okay, repeat that. And it devolves into a proxy question for whether voters, and Republicans in particular, like the former president, I mean, like him in the first place. Like, do you like him? It is still murky, but it's unlikely that Trump is ahead or even neck and neck with Biden. It's unlikely. Now, further, and this feels very plausible to me, that's all I can tell you. There is a rumor, it's been written, I can't verify it at this point, that the latest, which I'm just talking about, presidential poll with the neck and neck, one that I've just discussed, was rigged by a Trump colleague to inflate the polls, to look like Trump is winning. And evidently Trump spent money and people bought it. And, it's very believable based on past behaviors that Donald Trump was involved in this scam to make him look like he's equal because he's so desperate. I mean, really desperate. And he's becoming, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. Like he's having hallucinations. That actually is the word. Because he announced some crazy stuff that Biden is pulling out of the race, and something else, but it's cray, my new favorite word, cray. And also, I don't know if any of you saw it watching TV and coverage, but there was this giant boat parade. I mean, giant boat parade, and it was all MAGA, and boats that had like 40 American flags and Trump signs and honking, and I wish I knew where it was, what part of the country, but it looked like a big lake. And my left ear popped in, because this is what it does, and it said, oh, Trump arranged for that because he wants the presentation, he wants the look. And that's from my left ear, okay? Take it as you wish to. Now, going along with something that I said a few minutes ago about Jack Smith investigating further campaign finance fraud. People on fixed incomes that have liked Donald Trump, voted for him, unwittingly donated like small amounts of money, maybe $10. But they checked boxes that says this can be rotating. So you can bill me and take $10, I'm just using $10 arbitrarily, every month. And they didn't know that on a monthly basis from their fixed incomes, they're going to be losing what, $5, $10, $20, $30 a month in donations. So it's stealing. It's stealing. And so Jack Smith is looking into this. And I imagine, just guessing, that it's so tricky when these innocent people make these donations that they can't figure out how to stop the donations. The only thing I can think of, if I was caught in that, and trust me, I'm not going to get caught in that with anybody, I guess one would have to go to their bank, shut down all their accounts, and reopen new accounts. That's the only thing I can think of. All right, so now we're moving on to ex-General Mike Flynn, the guy who ran around, who said, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. He's a really bad guy, and nobody knows what happened to him, his brain, his ethics, but there's no ethics. He has a record in the military that's not blemished, which is just sort of mind-blowing, but he's a very bad guy, and he makes these insane, statements about Christianity and all kinds of things. So 1 year ago, he actually was indicted, and I didn't know that. But I guess because of the backlog in the courts, blah, 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 it was 1 year ago. So he showed up in court last week in front of Judge Emmett Sullivan, who's great, because the thing was delayed. So now he showed up for sentencing, all right? And this is all kind of new to me. And I'm going to make a blanket kind of explanation that it appears that he was guilty of making false statements. And even when I watched Rachel Maddow, she was unable to go, it's this, it's this, it's this. It's just a little murky. But what it comes down to, I think, is Flynn made false statements, okay? And he got some kind of cooperation plea. We don't know the details of that either. But the indictment for what he did is highly redacted. If you and I got to look at it, we really wouldn't understand what happened and what Mike Flynn did. So you and I would not know the seriousness. He wasn't expected a few days ago when he showed up in front of Judge Sullivan to get a jail sentence. Even the defense and the prosecution, not Jack Smith, were not pleading for that. However, Judge Sullivan, who has the unredacted indictment, which has everything in it, said, and I'm quoting her, sparsely here, but she started out by saying these crimes are very serious. And they involve false statements to the FBI. 3 different topics of false statements to the FBI, okay? Plus, Mike Flynn lied to senior officials at the White House, and then those senior officials went out based on the material, and made a more mess of things. Not really their fault, as I can see it. So Judge Sullivan actually said these words: essentially, sir, you sold your country out. Boom. And Judge Emmett Sullivan said, I cannot guarantee that you will not receive jail time. And Judge Sullivan went on to say, I will take this into consideration. I will take that into consideration. I just didn't write it down. People were very surprised by Judge Sullivan. Nobody expected this dressing down, okay? They didn't expect sentencing. And Sullivan said, I cannot guarantee you will not receive jail time. I cannot guarantee that, sir. Whoa. Now, my left ear jumped in and said, he's going to get some jail time. And it may not be a lot, but it'll be a shock to his system because he's had all this freedom. He gets $10,000 a month from the military in pension. Wouldn't you like $10,000 a month? I would. So my left ear thinks he's going to get some mail. So anyway, at that hearing, Sullivan said, would you like to go away and think about this? I'm willing to let you do that for a couple of days. But if you want your sentencing, I can do it right now. Put Flynn on the spot. Flynn said, no, I'll take a few days. And I don't know what they're up to, but I'll take a few days, okay? He wasn't ready to stand there and get sentenced, maybe to jail time. So I did throw a few runes. I got the rune of protection reversed, all right? And it says, I pared this down too, look carefully at the associations you have formed. Oh my God, that's, spot on. You may have become involved with people that are using you. You think? That said, the runes said, take responsibility for your own choices. Mike Flynn. All right. Then I got the rune of separation reversed. I only pulled 2 runes because they told me. This rune says, separation reversed. It is not a time to be bound by old authority, old conditioning. So it's like, get over your old self, buddy, lock her up. That ain't going to work anymore. Consider what will benefit others. Now, he does not seem like someone who would consider what will benefit others, but that's in the runes book. Act according to the light you now possess. And that's an interesting phrase because it's up to him to decide whether he sees the light. I don't think so. We don't think so. And then it says, must undertake a radical departure from your old ways. Okay? Total honesty is required. Refusal of total honesty will cause pain to yourself and others. Bum. So let's keep an eye. There, he's not talked about a lot, but he's really, probably a very big part of the coup plotting, especially as general. You know what I'm saying? All right. So here's the next subject. The GOP want to impeach Joe Biden. And I know the first time I heard it, I was like, for what? Right? Like, what? They don't have an answer for that. Neither does Kevin McCarthy. So Kevin McCarthy, which we all understood, had sold his soul to become speaker. And now the MAGA caucus kind of owns him if he wants to remain speaker, and he's always on the fringe. So he's listening. He's listening to them, the MAGA caucus, because he wants to keep this position. Feel 98% certain that they don't have anything to impeach him on, but that's the tactic. And so we'll see. I don't my left ear, I didn't do a runes thing on it yet, but my left ear does not think they can possibly be successful with this impeachment. I just see it. In fact, I just saw it like going down like a ship in the ocean. And now back to Biden. Just to prove that Biden is thinking ahead, I just found out he created a task force to protect election workers like Ruby Freeman and her daughter, who just won a fabulous lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. And I believe they are making it a federal crime to harass poll workers. I'm not sure about that. We have to look into that. But I believe that is done, or it's the intention. But I want to be clear that I don't have the final on that, okay? Moving on to Mark Meadows. Now, you probably know Mark Meadows is one of the 19 indicted in the Georgia Fani Willis indictments, the RICO case. And he was the first to pop up and say, I want my stuff moved to the federal courts in D.C. because he doesn't think he's a part of that. He was in Georgia on official White House business, blah, blah, blah. So that's going on now. And I did throw some runes. And it was so interesting. The first two runes came out blank. The same rune. I pulled the same rune twice out of the bag. And you know what? I can't read these runes with my fingertips. I can feel the writing, but I don't know what I'm choosing, just so you know that. So this is called Odin, the unknowable rune, and it says blank is the end and blank is the beginning. All right? I think the beginning is the end of the federal and the beginning of the Georgia. This is a rune of total trust and should be taken as evidence of your true destiny, which rises like the phoenix from the ashes of what is called fate. And now people are not so sure that he completely flipped. If he did, it didn't protect him from the Georgia indictment. But this rune advises him. I got ahead of myself a little bit. This rune often portends a symbolic death. Interesting. So a death of his position, a death of being prosecuted in DC, and, a death of his way of life, we believe. So it often portends a symbolic death. It may relate to some part of your life that is no longer applicable. His life as he knew it is over. It advises relinquishing control, Mark, which is the ultimate challenge. It tells him, move forward into the blankness, because there's nothing you can do. Know that the forces that are moving unseen in the background are forces that you have put into effect. So this rune is basically saying, you're responsible, Bella. So it's an invitation to be with the blankness. You just have to sit with not knowing anything. And then I wrote, regarding Meadows' wasted potential of his whole life, the blank rune is said to represent the highest possibilities of human endeavor. And he certainly didn't meet any high possibilities. Instead, it is best to let the unknowable stand empty, ready to be filled up with the life you create from this point on. I don't know how much that could be filled up in prison. And then I picked the warrior. And the first line of the warrior says, this is always the battle of the spiritual warrior, and it's with the self. So he probably doesn't have the depth, doesn't look like it, appear like it, sound like it, but it is saying this war is between you and you because you sold out. It is also about funding a will through action. It recommends to let the will of heaven flow through you, just like being empty in the previous rune, the blank rune. Embodied in the warrior rune is the energy of discrimination, the sword-like quality that enables you to cut away the old, the dead, and the extraneous. And I'll tell you folks, I don't know what's available to him. If he can do a 100 flip, I'm not sure. And I'll tell you what, I watch a lot of these pundits. I watch Neil Katyal and Andrew Weissman and all the greats. And they're not sure either. So as you roam the internet and you listen to people like me, tarot readers, we just kind of have to be a little circumspect, because even the legal eagles are saying this is big and this is a little confusing, okay? So the guidance for the warrior rune is to delve deeply into his self. I mean, he really should be looking at his life, his spirituality, what did he want? And it says tap into your most profound resources. But I want to say, I don't think Mark Meadows has profound resources. I really think he's kind of empty. I don't think he knows who he is. You ever meet anybody like that? All right, this is my final rune, I think. Yeah, it is. Where there is talk that Kim Jong-un, North Korea, and Putin may make an arms deal regarding Ukraine. And I think they're supposed to meet in September. Well, we're September now. Okay. I pulled the rune. I'm just going to jump to the chase and tell you, it looks like they're going to make a deal together, which is very scary to think about. We got to wait and see, but that's what the runes have indicated. So I got Harvest, a rune of beneficial outcomes. Now for them, it would be beneficial possibly to work together. They will decide. It's regarding your rewards of efforts, diligently applied and purposefully acted. It has to do with any endeavor or activity that would be Putin, are committed. There are no quick results, however. The harvest does have a reputation of being 1 year. Full cycle. We'll see. Then I got opening. Kano is the rune of opening, and it is considered the rune of opening and clarity. I'm so sorry to say this. I mean, it's just sickening. I hope I'm wrong. Sometimes you just hope you're wrong. It says Putin is free to receive gifts and to experience non-attached giving, which I'm not sure what that means in terms of these two dictators. But it does say, make sure that nothing is left hidden in dark corners, fellas. In relationships, Kano may indicate that there can now be a mutual opening. The two of them, a mutual opening, like new BFFs. Making the light of understanding available to both of you. I tell you, I really hate delivering this. And then the last rune was wholeness. Through wholeness, a new, stronger, and more solid and higher foundation is created. So what I inferred from this is they are going to create a relationship. Let's wait and see. Let's just wait and see. The one thing about the harvest is 1 year. And even with this information, I continue to believe that Ukraine prevails. Plus, I don't have it in this on the page in front of me right now. I keep going back to, my left ear keeps going back to Putin not surviving beyond 2024. And I did say this before, all right? So this is a wait and see, but we need to be prepared about this possible alliance. It does tell us, I think, that Putin is desperate. He needs more artillery, and that's why he turned to Kim. And that will, yeah, our hair will be set on fire if this happens, but let's wait, okay? And then just a few tidbits here. Oh, I said this earlier, that the Georgia RICO case with the 19, maybe a few less than 19, it's difficult to parse right now. It's just difficult. Even, like I said, for the experts, they're having difficulty. I think it's possible that the Georgia RICO may go before Jack Smith, but even then, everybody's guessing, all right? DeSantis steps in it again, and he refuses to meet with Joe Biden in Florida, and Joe Biden has promised a ton of money to help Floridians, but he avoided him. And maybe in the back of Doe's dim mind, he thinks that having a photo op with the president, who is way taller than him, by the way, wouldn't be a good thing for his campaign. And I want to say, what campaign? Your campaign is over. Even if Trump isn't around to run, it's not going to be DeSantis, all right? Now, here's some good news. Positive. Tennessee state representative, one of the so-called Tennessee Three, who stood up in the House in Tennessee about protecting children from guns, and, they were kicked out, and then the two gentlemen were voted back in. Well, Gloria Johnson has kicked off her U.S. Senate run against Marsha Blackburn. Yes, at an event in Knoxville, Tennessee. And better yet, on the campaign trail, Gloria Johnson will be joined by the very popular Democratic House Representatives in Tennessee, Justin Pearson and Justin Jones. So they're totally behind her. She's going against Marsha Blackburn, who's dumb as a rock. I apologize to all the rocks, but she is, and this is good. And my left ear just immediately went to, she's going to win. She's going to win. So that's good news and good for Gloria. And now we're winding it up. Just a little good evidence story that has nothing to do with me, but I read it and I saw it, and I'm not even sure what state this happened in, but a 19-year-old black man was driving on the highway, and in front of him saw a car go off the road into deep water. And so he pulled over, and the car was sinking, and there were 4 people in the car that couldn't get out. 4 or 5, to be honest with you. So this boy, 19 years old, stripped off his shirt and his shoes, and he dove into the water, and he got one person out, and he kept going back, and he saved the whole family from drowning. And he has been honored by his community. Beautiful story. Just a beautiful story. And the family was white, by the way. I shouldn't have to say that, but I think in this climate, it's kind of a good thing, to point that out. So God bless him. Just God bless him. Just love these stories. And then I found the ultimate quote by Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, from Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5. It's very short. It says, "It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Shakespeare was writing about Trump way back when. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Brilliant. I was reading all these quotes by Shakespeare. They're just wonderful. He was ahead of his time. So anyway, that wraps it up for Wednesday, September 6th. I'll be back, as you know, and I have a Patreon that I'm working on that I'm either going to, what's tomorrow, Thursday? Wanted to do it tomorrow. I'm still going to try and do it tomorrow. But if I don't, I'll do it on Friday for sure. Good Patreon, juicy Patreon. And I want to say thank you again for your super savers. It's very helpful, by the way, my friends. Now I'm going to upload this, get it to you, and then I'm going to go sit down and write. And wishing you, keep the faith. Just keep the faith, and remember, I just want to remind you that maybe a month ago, I just went, okay, is Biden going to win? Boom, 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 3 runes. They were fabulous runes, all of them. There were no gray areas. There was no guessing. There was no interpretation. It was a resounding yes. So be careful about the polls. I want to say stay away from the polls. I think they're irrelevant. We don't know who's being polled. And now we find out Trump manipulated or paid for or something. So let's not pay too much attention to the polls. Let's just stay with our vision. So have a good day. Peace and blessings. And look for some good evidence, okay? Bye-bye.